Ever wonder how to choose to play a certain strum pattern when you're working on a song or maybe playing with others in a jam session? Well, welcome to Acoustic Guitar. I'm Kevin, and I teach folks over 40 how to play the guitar so they can have fun, relax, and enjoy things a bit. And at Relax Learn Guitar, you're never too old to learn. So I'm going to jump into this live lesson. Thanks for watching tonight. Had some questions from members that I work with in the Relax Learn Guitar membership that want to kind of branch out and play their own songs or branch out and play with other people. So I've had a lot of questions about strum patterns and how people choose what strum pattern to play. So let me make sure I'm refreshed here and have the red light, making sure everything's working.
Anthony.
Is Anthony here? What's up, Anthony? Good to see ya.
Terry.
And let's see here. So we got yes, live and things look like they're working pretty well. Terry, what's going on? Glad you could make it. Glad that you're in the membership. So let's get into this lesson. Like I said, I've had some folks asking about strum patterns and how to choose what strum pattern to play. It can be a little bit of a mystery. So I'm talk to you guys a little bit about how I do it. I'm sure lots of folks do it very different ways. Hey, what's up, Jeff? He says, howdy, kids. What's up, Ken? I'm sure there's lots of different ways to do this. I'm going to share kind of what I kind of go through when I'm choosing a strum pattern or when I'm working on a song to play. And I do kind of three main things. The first thing I think about is the drums, actually, and kind of the beat that's being played. And it may sound weird, but even if there's not, if you're playing along with a band that has a drummer, the bass and the snare are really important. And even if you're not with a drummer, the more you play guitar, the more you're going to kind of get used to hearing that beat in your head and maybe even like that metronome click if you're using your metronome. Eventually you'll kind of hear that in your head. And it's a good way to kind of start and think about what the bass is doing, what the snare is doing. And that's the first place I kind of start when I'm thinking about figuring out how to strum along with a song or to create a song. All right, Lou from Michigan's here. What's up? The second thing that I do is I think about the tempo. So obviously the speed of the song is going to kind of dictate what kind of strum pattern you can kind of fit into the song. So you do kind of think about the tempo or the time, maybe the time signature. And then the third thing I think about is the style of music. So you're going to strum along to a song or in a jam session or whatever, or with your buddies. Things that are happening in kind of a rock or a folk are going to sound a little different than maybe a bluegrass song, especially kind of speed and tempo there, or blues. So those things are all different when it comes to the style of a song, and that's going to probably help you determine what to do when you're strumming along and figuring out a pattern.
Terry.
Oh, what's up, Terry? Two Terrys in the house. Glad you could make it tonight. So those are the three things, kind of what the bass and the drum, bass and snare are doing, the tempo of the song, and the style of music that you're playing. So I'm going to start with kind of the drum. So when you think about, I'm going to just give you guys two examples tonight. You could do tons and tons of examples and kind of play along, and I could talk about this for a long time. We'll try not to go on forever. So I just thought I would start with kind of two really common drum patterns or drum beats that you hear a lot of that you could use then to determine how you're going to strum along to it. The first one is, you'll hear it referred to as 4 on the floor. So 4 on the floor is in reference to the floor drum or the bass drum. And so you have a bass drum or the kick drum. In music, there's like 6 different names for so many things. So you have a bass drum, a kick drum, or the floor drum. It's all the same thing. And 4 on the floor means that bass drum, I'm like tapping with my toe, that bass drum is on the whole count. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Hence 4 on the floor. Typically the snare is going to come in on the 2nd and 4th beat. So you have this kind of thing. Bass, snare, bass, snare. really common drum beat. So when you have that going on, this is just a couple of examples of some ways you could strum along to that drum beat. So hopefully you guys can hear the little drum machine here. Jeff says just the voices in his head. The voices, or maybe you could change some of those voices to drums. So for this is kind of the 4 on the floor example I want to go through with you. So if I'm thinking about how to strum along with this beat, it might sound something like this. That's one example. So what you can kind of hear there, I'm accenting where that snare drum is. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a very simple down-up strum, very common. But if you think about that snare drum, and that's kind of the main, snap or accent, you can also accent that with your strum pattern. Hey Rich, what's up? Finally get to watch a live version. That's good. And Steven's here too. So that's just one example. So if you think about that, think about accenting beats with your strumming. That's the beauty of a guitar, especially acoustic guitar. It's very percussive. There's, if you want to, you could drum along to that drum beat with your guitar. Bass is kind of down here, snare on the top here. So you think about that, you can also do that with your strumming. I might do this with this drum beat too. I might do some palm muting. So another example is the palm mute is more the bass. And if you notice, I'm still accenting the second and fourth beat of that snare drum. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So another example is that you have that palm mute sound being more the bass sound or the bass drum, and then your snare drum is when you kind of play those open strings.
Yeah, good questions.
All right, so yeah, some questions coming in. Let's see here. Steven, I have trouble strumming up. It gets real uneven and choppy, almost like pick is getting stuck on the strings. Yes, that does make sense. The first thing I'll say about that is, and you were just on the challenge, we talked about this, pay a lot of attention to your wrist. If you're kind of doing this and your wrist is staying straight, your pick is staying straight as well, or I guess that would be horizontal to the ground, but it's not moving is my point. Pay a lot of attention to your wrist. And when you're strumming up, your pick should be pointing slightly down. If it's not, then you do get a tendency to kind of get hung up on the strings. So that'd be my first tip. Try that, see if that helps. And then again, it's like anything else. The more you do it, the more you'll get used to it. Let's see, Anthony says, hi Kevin, which lesson the membership best relates to what you were showing us now? The lesson on dynamics. There's a lesson in the membership. It's probably, you could search for it in the sidebar. I'm trying to think if it's in the intermediate. I think it's in the intermediate lesson modules, but it's a one on dynamics. I talk about how you use your guitar to accent certain parts to get higher, louder and softer, and that's kind of what we're doing tonight. I can also pop this actual lesson in there too for you guys to watch or rewatch whenever you want. Where can I get background drum music? I am using a free app on my iPad. So, Beats. If you just go on the, I don't know if you're Android or Apple, but if you search, you can probably find some free. You can start with free versions. I'm sure you could pay for them too. Some metronome apps have kind of drum beats built in. I use GarageBand, and I use that a lot as well on my Mac, and there's a lot of good stuff in there. I would suggest to keep it simple. Don't get kind of lost in it. It's so much fun, and you can spend some time in there, but I would recommend kind of starting out with a simple app that kind of just has some basic drums for you that you can control the tempo on. You want to be able to set it just like your metronome. You want to set your drum beats tempos as well. Steven says thanks. All right, so that's kind of the 4 on the floor example for you. Again, this could be several examples for different drum beats. I'm kind of just choosing 2 tonight. The second one I want to talk about is more of a blues shuffle. So in blues music, it's going to be a little slower, so there comes your tempo. Your bass and your snare is also doing some stuff, but it's not going to be the same 4 on the floor. And then obviously blues music sounds a little different than, rock music, country music or whatever. Terry Kaysen, please post in group. My wife started talking. Yeah. Okay, I will. I'll post this in the membership, not a problem. And I'll put I can share it into the members group as well, guys, so no worries there. So if you have kind of a blues shuffle kind of going on, you might have this kind of a sound. So obviously it's a little different. But you can hear the bass and the snare. So that's going to change how you're going to probably strum along to this beat, or if you were jamming with some folks or making up your own blues stuff. So it might sound more like this. So hopefully that makes sense as an example for you. So let me talk about what I'm doing there. It's very similar to dynamics and kind of accents. And you can think of your guitar as a drum in a second way. So there's obviously this kind of a way, playing drums on your guitar. You can also think about your strings as a drum set. Strings 6, 5, and 4, the bass or fattest strings on your guitar. Think of those 3 as kind of the bass drum. Okay? Whether it's palm muted or not. Think about strings 1, 2, and 3, or the high skinny strings, treble strings, as the snare drum. So what I'm doing there is I'm kind of I am using the low bass strings as my bass or kick drum or floor drum. I'm using the high strings as kind of the snare, so this isn't like super precise. You don't have to like fret over, man, am I playing that pick in the right exact spot for that bass? Just generally, you hit those bass strings kind of on the bass beat, on the whole beat, and use those high strings for the snare. Just a suggestion. Let's see, Lou says, I'm an old man in Virginia and still learning. Thank you for your lessons. Lou, you're only as old as you feel. People tell me that, and I tell them I feel old sometimes. However, you're not too old to learn. So yeah, stick with it. I'm glad you like the lessons. And guys are proving it every day that it doesn't matter how old you are, you can learn. So it's a matter of just sticking with it, so keep it up. So those are the little tips and tricks I have for you to think about the accents that you're using and to really think about that drum beat or listen to the drum beat when you're making up a strum pattern or you're playing along with another group of folks. And those are just two examples, kind of the 4 on the floor is more of the rock example, and then the blues shuffle for the blues kind of stuff. So something to think about. Hope that's helpful. If you like this video, make sure you click the like button. You want to click the notification bell so you can get notified whenever I go live. I do live lessons pretty regularly. If you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you do that. And if you want free lessons sent right to your inbox that are similar to this, you can click the description or you can click the link in the description and sign up on the email list. Highly recommend it. Get you started relaxing and learning. And thank you guys for watching. I've enjoyed this, and I'll see you for the next live lesson. If there's any questions, you might want to pop them in here now. We'll do a little background music while I wait. Thumbs up from Anthony. Thanks, Anthony. Yeah, check out that Dynamics video in the membership. That'll keep you busy. Good night to you, Terry. And says appreciates the strumming information. Great stuff as always. I'm glad you guys like it. Keep on picking. You're welcome, Rich. You're welcome, Terry. I'll see you guys later.